Welcome back to Biz Talk with Sherman. I'm your host, Sherman On from Hotel and Insurance Services. Really excited to be able to have our next guest on property management with Elias. So welcome to Biz Talk with Sherman.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so can you introduce yourself? Let people know kind of who you are and what you guys do over there.
Yeah, so I'm Elias Kami, and I'm the broker and owner of ELDA Management Services. And we handle residential property management. We deal with investors and investments. The markets change all the time, so we're always, changing. We're always working with leases, and we're working with when to invest and when not to invest. We obviously always working with tenants, with the residents of our properties. They're a great key to what we do, and ultimately, we're also middle person for everybody, our vendors. The maintenance of the properties is a very large segment of what we do. And doing it right and quickly and efficiently and at a good cost is very, very important for our investors. So and also for our tenants, because they are the ones that have to endure the repairs and all the things that go on with these properties. So
absolutely. So really, you're touching all pieces really of that residential rental experience. So kind of people are wanting to know really kind of post-pandemic. Are there a lot of evictions out there, and how's that affecting kind of what you're seeing?
Yeah, so post-pandemic, this is kind of an interesting subject because, we went through a couple of years of no evictions. We were held through moratoriums. The government got involved. There were some rent relief programs out there. So we really tried to work with our tenants and see what the best way to address this issue was. And also with our clients, our owners. So post-pandemic, there have been some evictions, a lot of evictions. I think a lot of the residents that couldn't, survive through that process, and they're vacating on their own, which kind of helped the process because, the eviction process is a lengthy process. But then we also had the whole rent relief programs that were involved here in the county or in the city that also, even today, we're still trying to sort through. Because if we were to accept funds from the government, we are supposed to not evict. And so we couldn't, yet there was a lot of, influx and all of that. So today the programs are closed, but we are still waiting for funding or for, to see if these people were or were not qualified. There's disputes. There's just a lot of things going on with these programs that are kind of delayed some of the funding. I
got to imagine that if a current landlord is dealing with this kind of situation, reaching out to an organization like yours that's into a lot of that process can be extremely beneficial for them.
Yes, absolutely. So, if we're able to get funding, that's great. But when it comes to the property and a tenant owing maybe $10,000, $20,000 on a rental, we're pretty much assured that we're not going to get those funds back. So the best way to address this is to do the best we can to get the property back, rent it to somebody who can be there, who can afford to be there. Let the individual, help assist the resident, the tenant, to find something that they can afford, and try to help them out through that process. But more importantly is get that property back, and that could be through different kinds of negotiations. We don't have to resort to evictions. So we have done programs like Cash for Keys. Look, we'll help you move if you just vacate the property. And so we can do certain things like that, because instead of owing $10,000, $15,000, they can come in and say, okay, look, I'll pay you $1,000 or $1,500 to move, and get that property back, get it ready, and get someone else in there that can pay. It shortens that gap.
And focus more on the future of getting income instead of the past of trying to recoup.
Correct.
And then for investors out there, what's your message to them given the current environment now post-pandemic? Is it a good time to start investing into some residential property for cash flow?
Yeah, so the market is really hot right now. The sales market is very hot right now. So I would definitely take every investment and do an assessment on that investment. Right now, you're not seeing a whole lot of investors buying because the prices are so high that any kind of drop in that and drop in the rental and the rental income is going to probably hurt them. So typically, a down cycle or a time when when the prices start to decline a little bit, that's usually the best time to get into the investment. But again, when it comes to rental properties, it is really important to assess the property before you purchase rather than after. So you have to do your legwork. Make sure that you account for vacancy. Make sure you account for leasing fees. Make sure you account for, for the turnovers, repairs, those things that are necessary. Vacancy is very costly. So ultimately, yes, do an assessment. Let's see what the rental income's going to be and work against that going forward.
So I know you just described a few things, and I know there's a lot more when it comes to property management. For anyone that's out there that's looking to be an investor and is like, hey, let me just try this on my own, I think there's a lot of value in using an expert when, if my job's in oil and gas and my wife's job is an attorney, having this rental property might not be the best move for us to do when we have family involved as well and wanting to kind of, quote unquote, take on this part-time job. What would your advice be to that person in saying, hey, this is why you'd want to utilize a property management company?
Wow. Well, there's a lot of reasons. First of all, one of the key things that we do, we stay on top of the legislation. We stay on top of the rules, the things that are coming out, making sure that our clients don't get into trouble by doing things that they should not be doing. Texas has a very set rules. The Texas Property Code is out there. There are things that, I've seen a lot of owners do that just sometimes makes you cringe, because it is important that they understand, if someone's not paying, you can't just go and shut off their utilities. You can't go do certain things because it's illegal here in Texas. So we're here to try to protect them from doing things that they shouldn't do. Additionally, there are, laws are changing all the time. The emotional support animal situation, that we're always lobbying for that, to help our landlords, and make them understand. Let's make these rules clear. January, we had a new change, because of the flooding. Landlords and residents never had to get, flooding disclosures. They do now. And so now, January came aboard, we sent everybody, a disclosure notice, and now we have to have the tenants sign it. So these are things that we do to protect them that they may not even be aware of.
Yeah, and so I got to imagine that not following some of these compliant rules, there is a penalty involved, usually financial.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be a lot of penalties. So yeah, definitely. There's definitely a lot of rules and laws that are come down the pipe.
Now I got to imagine one of the difficult things, right, of being able to, when it comes to property management, is just good screening of tenants. How does it work on your end with what you guys do and with all your various commercial or residential property out there?
Slowly and surely.
Okay.
Basically, we've been doing this for a long time, and we've kind of fallen into a lot. We've already taken the hit of learning the learning curve. We do all the checks. We have to check the criminals, the criminal background, the rental history, their credit reports, financials, all of that. But we got to read into everything that comes through, because not everything is absolute the truth, and that's unfortunate. But we've learned that rental history, that's one of the easiest ways to kind of get beyond the process. We have to verify that the person that is actually verifying the rental history is actually either the landlord, property manager, or somebody who's handling the property, and that is really important. Another thing that we do is, if they're in an absolute rush to move, then we have to kind of see why that is, and we need to check. And so these are important steps to take to make sure that our landlords are protected, because once they're in there, then we have to go through the whole process of eviction, and we don't want that. There's a lot of great tenants out there, and it's just a matter of taking our time and verifying the information.
Now, are you seeing a little bit of, with the high cost of housing right now, higher appraisals, higher property taxes, are you seeing that rent then now as people are renewing their rental agreements? Are you seeing an increase right now with some of the property out there?
Yeah, absolutely. Rents are definitely increasing. Prices of homes don't necessarily absolutely parallel, the growth in the rents as well.
Okay.
But there is definitely an increase in the rental amounts right now.
And I got to imagine in the greater city of Houston, right, kind of Woodland, Sugar Land, Richmond, Galveston area, all that involved, those major counties, there's a large increase, right, of population.
Oh, yes.
And there's a definite shortage, it seems like, on rental property. Are you guys seeing that the same, where there's just this high demand for renting of houses, but just not enough supply out there?
Yeah, there is. I mean, we've had a tremendous influx of people from different states. And we are seeing growth. I mean, not only Houston, but Austin, Texas as a whole is growing tremendously. And so we are seeing a lot of growth. We are seeing, people looking. I think I had 3 properties up last week, and I have almost none now.
Oh, wow.
And so that's out of 200-300 properties, it's minimal. So they are moving. They are higher. Is it going to stay that way? Probably not for very long. But they are higher right now.
So definitely, it seems like there should be some definite awareness. If I'm an investor and I have some money on the sideline and I want to get into residential renting, right, of real estate, I should be monitoring this pretty closely, because it seems like there's a good opportunity just based on the demand that's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you definitely want to monitor everything. But like I said, if you're going to buy high, I mean, you're going to rent a little higher. But then again, you got to be aware that this may change in in the near future, whether it's 6 months, or a year, or 2 years from now. If some of these drops come down, can you afford to still continue to maintain this property going forward?
So it's still crucial to make sure that you're not just buying whatever house you can come across and buy, and then trying to flip it around and make it a rental.
Yes, absolutely. That is really critical, and we see that all the time.
I got to see that. It's always the husband and wife, right? It's like, yeah, let's get into this rental game, right? And they think, yeah, this is a way to do it.
Well, funny thing. One of the things that we see the most is those individuals that have to move, and they want to rent their properties. They didn't buy the property as a rental. They bought it as a homeowner, and so naturally they pay whatever the market rent is. So, that group of individuals, they have to become, landlords. They do kind of struggle through the process, because it is much, they don't realize the cost involved with some of the things that need to be done. And obviously the maintenance, the repairs, it's like, well, I live with that. That's okay. Like, well, no, really, that has to be fixed now.
Yeah. That's amazing. Really insightful, because I think that's happened for a lot of businesses, right? Individuals that maybe they're working remotely now, and so living maybe in Houston or their current house, they want to go live somewhere else, right?
Correct.
And it's just not as easy as like flipping the switch and now we can rent it.
Yeah. I mean, we can. The question is whether it's going to be financially, effective for them.
It's going to make sense. Wonderful. So this is really good, Elias. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to be able to just have a conversation with a professional, especially on the residential property management side?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 3 ways. First of all, my phone number is 281-894-8659. Just call and somebody will answer. We'll be able to get in touch with us or with myself. An email to management at ELDA, ELDA-MS.com. And then obviously our website's always a great source, to connect, and that's HoustonPropertyManagement.com.
All right, that's super simple. HoustonPropertyManagement.com. Get a hold of Elias and his team. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us property management with Elias Cami. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, everybody, and we'll be coming back with one of the team members, Janet Martinez from Paula Buen Credito.